Does the absolute load on the bar matter? This is such an obvious question. The answer is obviously yes, but I'm going to do a video and talk about it briefly because so many people have messaged me asking if this is true or not. Apparently, Paul Carter says that, 100% is 100%, and so it's no harder for you to recover from an 800-pound deadlift than it is for you to recover from a 200-pound deadlift. If both of them are 100% of your max. And, the idea being that as you made progress and you got to 800 pounds, your capacity and your ability to recover also went up. So, if 100% of your max is 200 pounds, then, that's the ability that you have to produce force, and you're able to recover from that. And then as you get stronger and you pull 800 pounds, that's still 100%. And so, the recovery demand of pulling 800 pounds is the same. In theory, it makes sense, right? It sounds like common sense. It sounds like it would be logical that, oh, well, my capacity to squat was 500 pounds, and now my capacity to squat is 700 pounds. And, it's just 100% of my max versus 100% of my max. However, we can see that this does not work in practice. You look at anyone and they will tell you they have to train less as they get stronger. So, you look at someone like, Brian Carroll, Hafthor Bjornsson, Eddie Hall, any of these guys. And I'm trying to remember who it was that I heard recently. Another strongman competitor, but like he squats one week and he deadlifts the next week because he can't deadlift 2 weeks in a row. That's interesting. And he tried it though. He tried doing it more frequently. And so like my thing is here is like, if you think that Hafthor is lazy or Eddie Hall is lazy because they deadlift every other week instead of multiple times a week or every week, like you really don't appreciate how hard these guys work. I remember listening to a video where Eddie was talking about how he kept trying to increase his deadlift and he couldn't increase his deadlift. It just was like, it just wasn't going up, and he would deadlift and deadlift and deadlift and deadlift, and he just trained it more and more and more, and he wasn't making progress. And then he named someone told him that, it takes like 10 to 14 days to recover from a heavy deadlift. And, he was like, what? And he was, but I've been doing it more. And they're like, yeah, do it less often. And when he started doing it less often, that's whenever he finally, broke that threshold and pulled 1,000 pounds. So obviously the absolute load on the bar matters. Like, I don't know why that isn't just like common sense when you look at what you're observing. So although it sounds logical, well, 100% is 100%. So, if your max is 100 pounds or your max is 1,000 pounds, a max is a max, but it isn't. It isn't. When you have the capacity to pull 1,000 pounds, it's so much more stress on your body than pulling 100 pounds. I'm very weak. My max front squat is 345. I can do that every single day. Like, legitimately, you guys know I squat every day. I don't have a problem. I could easily squat 345 every single day and never burn out. But a guy who squats 600, 700 pounds, dude, it's not going to be the same. And just think about it in terms of like relative body weight. Like I'm 160 pounds squatting 345. Like, that's not a big deal. But like there are guys out there that are 160 pounds and they're squatting, 600 pounds. Holy shit. I don't even think I could put 600 pounds on my back. Like, I'm not sure I could even unrack that. So, just think about it in terms of that even. Like, if you weigh 400 pounds and you put 1,000 pounds on your frame, that's 1,000 pounds of pressure on your spine. Just think about the actual loading in itself. And so, like, we see this all the time. Brian Carroll, I'm trying to remember what it was that he said, but I feel like leading up to he squatted over 1,300 pounds. And I think he said he was squatting like once every 10 days. Once every 10 days. Why? Why? Are you lazy? No, of course not. the reason why he has to squat once every 10 days is because that's how long it takes to recover, you know? So, then like you guys have been there. Like whenever you were a beginner, you probably could have lifted every single day and still made progress, because the weights were light, and really more than anything, you're getting motor learning and neurological adaptations as you hit the intermediate phase, and then you get into the advanced phase. Like you just can't do that, you know? And so like I look at a lot of the strongman programming. That's what I'm really big on. I follow a lot of Shane German. If you guys look him up, do it. You'll thank me. You know, or even Chad Wesley Smith recently did a video on strongman training. And it's like, you're going to do a lot of sets between like 70 and 80% for like 3 to 6 reps. You're not going to go to failure. Why? Well, because you don't want to burn your system out. You know, if you pulled a max single every single day, you know, you'd be fried. And like when I mentioned the fact that like 345 is my max squat and I could probably do that every day, I would have to do nothing but that. So like I don't do that. Most days, you know, I put something between 70 and 80% on the bar, and I do like 10 doubles or something like that, or, you know, 20 singles EMOM or something. Like it's a different stimulus. The load is not like excessively heavy to the point where like I'm grinding through every rep. I'm trying to make the reps fast and snappy. And, you know, I'm trying to hit really good quality reps and practicing strength as a skill instead of just like, let me just grind this out. And, you know, if you guys think about this logically, just like now we have to think about it from a different standpoint. As your capacity improves, like you go from a 500-pound squat to a 1,000-pound squat, it's not like your connective tissue got any stronger, because we know that. Jake Tura has a ton of stuff out there pointing out that connective tissue doesn't adapt after like the age of 17. Like it's a very, very minimal. And what you're able to do is basically you can inflict more harm on yourself because of that whole Golgi tendon thing. So, you know, we actually have a system that inhibits us, and the stronger you get, there's less inhibition of that system. So when you first started lifting and you, I don't know, squatted 225 or something, that probably really wasn't the limit of your muscles. It was the limit of what your nervous system would allow you to do. As you progress, now your nervous system's like, yeah, I'll let you go to 99%. And so you're inflicting even more damage on your body. So there's a lot of ways we can look at this. We can look at it from a lot of different angles. But yeah, people keep asking me about this, you know, oh, is it really true that, you know, the load on the bar doesn't matter? And it's like, I don't know why anyone would believe that. I mean, you could make an argument that sounds logical, but what you're observing is that the best in the world are squatting once a week and deadlifting once, you know, and it's like every other week. They have to alternate them. Why? Because they're so damn strong. So, you know, when you're squatting 1,000 pounds or you're deadlifting 1,000 pounds, like you just can't do that frequently. You know, now, mind you, for those of us, most of us, I'm sure most of you watching this video are probably in the intermediate phase. And if you're in the intermediate phase, you can do Texas method. You can squat 3 times a week. It won't destroy you. And in fact, most of you will be able to still squat 3 times a week, even at the advanced level. You could squat every day, even at the advanced level. These guys that are pulling 1,000 pounds, dude, they're like the elite of the elite. Like, how many guys do that? How many guys deadlift 1,000 pounds? Like, we're not even talking the top 1%. Like, it's even smaller than that. So, you know, for those of you who are in the top 10%, like, you could probably still squat 3 and 4 times a week without having a problem. You can probably deadlift twice a week without having a problem. But, you know, you can see very clearly Luke Richardson, you know, Hafthor Bjornsson, Eddie Hall, you know, any of these guys, they're phenomenally strong, and it takes a long time to recover whenever you have one of those maximal efforts. You know, I still remember that time, I think it was a Conan's wheel, and Travis Ortmeyer went so hard that he collapsed. why did he collapse? Everyone thought he was having a heart attack. It was hypoglycemia. He went so hard that he actually put himself into hypoglycemia. That's a hard thing to do. I've done that, but I could not do that with a Conant's wheel. I mean, I can do that on a 800-meter run or something, but like I'm not going to do that with any type of weight because I'm not strong enough to lift something that would put me into that much of a glucose debt. So, anyways, that's the explanation here, guys. The absolute load on the bar does matter. Axial loading does matter. These things are stressors, and it takes more time to recover from them the stronger you get, which is why you don't see people doing squat every day with 1,000 pounds. Squatting every day works very well whenever you're, not squatting 1,000 pounds. Look at Olympic weightlifters. Olympic weightlifters, they're squatting less than 300 kilos most of the time. Even the guys that have great squats and, they're super strong, it's usually less than 300 kilos. So, yeah, to a point, you can make the argument that, yeah, sure, for a certain period of time, 100% is 100%. But, I mean, once we get into those outliers who are pulling 800-pound deadlifts or 700-pound squats, things shift. So I just think that it's really important for us to bear that in mind. And that's why, you shouldn't copy these guys either. You need to deadlift and squat more often than Eddie Hall does. So, you don't just copy their system. I think it was Dan Bell who commented that he used to just lift every single day. Yeah, used to. That's what he did in the beginning. Now he's too strong to do that. So, I feel like we just need to keep in mind that, no man steps in the same river twice, right? It's not the same river, not the same man. As you get stronger, you're going to have to train differently. You can't just keep doing the stuff that worked in the beginning, or else Jay Cutler still would have been doing, 700-pound squats for reps and 500-pound bench presses. And that's how he built the mass. But that's not what he did at the end of his career, because it would have beat him up too much. So, just something for you guys to think about.